we've had many fruitful discussions, and you have often reassured me that climate change legislation is possible in the United States. And indeed, it is fair to say that the legislation process in the US has a huge bearing on the rest of the world. As the world's leading industrialized nation, ambitious legislation will be a sign of real leadership in climate change. Without clear engagement by the US, international action on climate change won't be as effective as science tells us it needs to be. The world is waiting with bated breath for the Senate process to move forward. I remember very well how in Bali, Senator Kerry said that if he got into power, it would be like the difference between night and day on policies to fight climate change. So, without further ado, let me hand over to Senator Kerry to tell us more about how the process in the Senate has advanced today. Senator.
Ivo, thank you very, very much for a very generous introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by saying that all of us can't thank Ivo enough for his extraordinary leadership over these past years. I know that you will all agree with me that when the history of this endeavor is recorded, Ivo de Boer's steady guidance will be remembered. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all you have done, and thank you also for the privilege of allowing me to share some thoughts at this historic meeting. For 17 years now, we have been meeting together through enormous transitions in our politics. New presidents, new prime ministers, new friends who quickly became old friends. We've taken a long journey together, from Rio to Copenhagen, through 14 COPs in between, through all the hurdles and challenges. Two constants have remained. First, the urgency of the science that tells us we must act. Second, we, those gathered here, and many not here, but supporters, have never wavered in our determination to get the job done. And that is why we are on the brink of making history now. Back in 1992, an American president personally traveled to the climate talks in Rio to help plant the seeds of possibility, the promise of a beginning. But that promise was allowed to wither on the vine. In the years that followed, the United States joined with other major polluters to delay, divide, and deny. We simply failed to lead in the manner that this challenge demands. But this is a new day. Just as in Rio, an American president is now coming to these talks in good faith, this time to promise a new beginning and to recommit the United States to being a part of the global solution. 17 years is a long time to pursue an urgent goal. But history does remind us that sometimes even urgent struggles take time. Consider the 100 years of the conflict in Northern Ireland. At the moment when peace was finally achieved, after tireless efforts by many, but Senator George Mitchell particularly, he said simply, we had 700 days of failure and 1 day of success. And that's why we're gathered here again in Copenhagen, because we know that in 1 day, with one agreement, we can put the world on a safer path. In the coming hours and days, the world expects us to get this job done.